Hi, I'm Dave Vickers and welcome to the Photo Show. We've got another Photoshop tutorial for you today, and in this episode we're taking a look at creating actions within Photoshop. Actions can be really useful for processes that you use often or processes that have a lot of stages and save you doing it over and over again. Remember, if you like what you see on the Photo Show, please comment, like and subscribe in the boxes below. Here's the video. Okay, so we're over in Photoshop now, and what I want to talk about today is using actions in Photoshop. Now, actions can be really useful if there's processes that you do all the time, like sharpening, resizing images. You can set up an action to do that automatically, save you having to do it, repeating the action, the process every single time. And if there's more complex things that you do that take a lot of time, set up an action to make that happen almost automatically. So let's have a look at what we're doing here. First off, let's open up an image. So we'll open up an image of this guy here. We've got him on the screen there. Let's open that up. And if you look across this side to your palette where your layers are, there you've got the little tabs, your channels, paths, history, and the last one there is actions. If it isn't showing up in your palette here, come to the top of your screen here where it says window, do the drop down, and the first option there is actions. Click that and it will bring that section up to your palette. So let's drag this out so we can see it properly. You can see in here there's a couple of folders already. One's default actions, which is the ones supplied with Photoshop. To be honest, a lot of them aren't very good and don't work very well. Next is Dave's actions, which is a set of actions which I've created for myself, the things that I use a lot. There's resizing, there's sharpening, there's a couple of other things there. But let's show you how to make an action and how you can use actions in your workflow. We'll do three very simple. We'll start with the simple one, a slightly more complicated, and then an even more complicated one, just to show you how far you can take actions in total. So first off, there's a little folder icon here, so we're going to click that and create a new set. So let's call this the Photo Show. So this is going to be our set of actions that we're calling the Photo Show. If we click OK, and now we've got a nice folder here under the other ones that says the Photo Show. So now what we need to do is to create an action. So let's say you quite often resize images for use on the web. I know I do, and I've got a specific set of sizes that I use. So let's create an action to resize an image automatically. So come down here, you have a little create new action. Let's click that, and we will call this resize. Let's call this resize 800 upright. And you can see here, you tell it which set to put it in. I'm going to put it in the Photo Show set. Here you have an option to assign one of your function keys, one of the F keys at the top of your keyboard. At the moment, I'm going to leave this none because I have stuff set on my function keys for other ones. But you could pick any of the function keys between F2 and F12 to assign this to, so that instead of going into your actions palette, you could just press the function key and this action would automatically play. You can actually have 3 on each function key. If you chose F2 and you already had a function on there, you would then have the option to use it as Shift F2. If you had 2 on there already, you could then have it as Control F2. So each of these function keys, so in theory you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 function keys you can use with 3 options on each. So you could set up 33 separate actions just by using the function keys, and many more if you don't want to use the function keys. So we're not going to use the function keys in this one. So now we click record. And you can see now that it's put in resize 800 upright, which is the name we've called this action, and the little record symbol there is lit up. So it's actually recording now. There's no time limit. This will just happen each time we do something now with this image. It will record what we have done to this image. So first off, let's go up to image size and open that up. So opening up the dialog box now for the image size, and as I've shown with this, resize 800 upright. So let's change the height on this image to 800 pixels. Okay, so now what we've done is we've changed it from the previous size to be 800 pixels. So if I click OK, and it's resized the image. Now if I click stop on here now, that has now recorded that as an action. So let's put this image back to the way it was, back to the full size, go into here, highlight the part that says 800 upright, resize 800 upright, and click the little play icon, and there you go. It's replayed what we did and resized the image for us. So again, if you'd assign this to a function key, I actually have this assigned on my keyboard to be F3. So instead of playing the action like this, I can just press F3 on the keyboard and it will resize the image like that. And obviously, again, you could make a separate image to do this for a landscape image, a separate action. So you've got action there. So that's a really simple action. Let's go for something slightly more complicated. Let's put this image back to the way it was. And let's create a new action. So come to here, and again in the photo show folder, and we're going to call this one high pass sharpen. And again we'll click record, and you'll see as we start to do things with this image, it will record what's going on here. So we're now as high pass sharpen, it's recording. So the first thing I want to do here, I'm going to put this side here back on my layers palette as well, so you can see what's happening in the layers palette. I'm going to hit Control and J to duplicate this layer. So Control and J, and there you can see it's copied the layer in the layers palette, and written in the actions it says layer via copy. So that's the first part. Next thing I want to do is to desaturate this image. So Shift Control and U on your keyboard, and that's desaturated the image there, and you can see that it's written in the action desaturate. Next thing I want to do is to use this with a high pass filter. So up to the top, filter, other, high pass, and let's say we want, let's bring this up quite a bit. So I'm kind of over sharpening this really. Click OK. And the last part of this is we want to change the blending mode on here from normal to soft light. Okay. And I'd always suggest that if you're writing an action, to leave it somewhere like that. Leave it so that you know, don't fold the layers down. Don't flatten the layer or merge the layers down. Keep it so that your action stops at that point. So if we click stop now, we now have the sharpened layer on the top. If we want to, we can still drop the opacity to get the kind of level that we're looking for. We've still got some control once the action's finished. It's not just because different images and different sharpenings will work differently. So if we leave that like that, and I will just, let's get rid of the high pass layer on the top there now. So now we're back to our original image. Highlight the high pass sharpening action, click play, and watch what happens over this side. When I click play here, watch what happens in the layers palette. So click play, it's duplicated the layer, it's desaturated it, it's added the high pass filter, and it's changed the blending mode to soft light. So it's done everything we asked it to do in the action. Okay, so that's 2 done there. Let's try one more. And we're going to try something even more complicated now. Let's. I did a tutorial a while back on using frequency separation to soften skin. Wouldn't normally do it on a photograph of a guy, but let's just show you how we'd set something like that up. So we're going to create a new action. Let's just call this skin soften. And click record. And now you can see the record button is lit there, and whatever actions we do now will be recorded as part of the actions here. So first thing I want to do is I want to create 3 more copy layers. So Control J, Control J, Control J. And you can see now we have 3 additional layers. And in the actions palette, you can see that it's 3 additional copy layers. So let's rename this one median, and you can say it's renamed the layer. Let's rename this one high pass, and let's rename this one mask. The first thing I want to do is to highlight the median layer. We're going to go filter, noise, median, and we're going to use the median to blur the skin a little. That should be fine there. Next layer up, we're going to do is high pass, filter, other, high pass, and we'll pump that up a little bit as well. We go OK, and we'll keep that as overlay. And finally, on this one, what we're going to do is add a layer mask. And now I want these 3 layers to turn off. If you want to know why I do that, there's a tutorial on skin softening, and that'll explain why I set the action up like that. So now let's press stop. And you can see now, for this one action, which I've called skin softening, we've got all of these things that we did. We copied the layers, we renamed the layers, all the way down to the point. So all of those points here are the points that we did within this action. So let's get rid of these 3 extra layers there, and we're back to completely the original layer now. Let's highlight the one that says skin softening. We can shut all those down, doesn't matter. So it says skin softening, and if I play the action now, watch the layers palette here and watch what happens. Play. And we're back to the state which I left it in, which was the 3 copy layers, all renamed, and adding a mask on the top and taking out the 3 layers underneath. So we've shown 3 actions there. A very simple one that's just resizing, slightly more advanced one which is using the high pass sharpening, and quite a complex action to create a setup for using for skin softening. So actions are really, really useful. The other thing you can do now is, let's say that you've created a bunch of actions like this and you want to share them with other people, you want to show them what you've done. So if you highlight that, we'll highlight that folder there, we'll come to the drop down there, and one of the options down here is save actions. So save actions, as you can see I've already had a go at this before, so let's do this as 2 and save. And now I can delete this. Let's grab that entire folder that I've just made and chuck it in the bin. All that work I just did, we've just thrown it away. But if we go to the drop down again, we have an option here that says load actions. So load actions, Photoshop 2, load, and there we go. The folder's back in there. Open it back up. The resize 800 upright, that's all there. The high pass sharpening, that's all there. And the skin softening, that's all there as well. So that's how you create actions, that's how you save them and load them back in. I'm Dave Vickers, thanks for watching, see you next time.